Very good evening to you. Very good evening to you. Welcome to the locker room. If the football's not on this weekend, but who needs football when you've got me and Graham telling jokes for the next 5 seconds? No football this weekend for obvious reasons. We'll be here until 7 o'clock tonight. But you know what to do if you're watching this. You can comment on the video below, Facebook or YouTube, and also you can get us on Twitter. We're favourite on Twitter at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well. Joined by Graham. How are you, Graham? I feel as though I've not saw you for about 23 hours or something like that.
I think I might be divorced by the end of this. I think I see more of you than I do my own wife.
Well, I'm a nice little guy, you know what I mean. I've not shaved for a week, but I'm still nice looking. But that's enough about me. Um, yes, yeah, it feels as though we been together for a whole week. That's for a whole different program, I think. So I think I'll move swiftly on. Hopefully joined by Mr. Regan Stevens and Dave Smith as well. We're here until 7 o'clock tonight. As I say, no football on tonight or this weekend even for obvious reasons, but there's still other sports going on, and we can't get our head around that. And yeah, let's just move swiftly on then. Graham, I'm going to take 5 minutes out by not speaking about Hearts. You'll be glad to know we'll come back to speak about the German tats and that. But let's speak about the national team. No, not the women, not the men's team, but the women's team. And just as I say about the women's team, in comes Mr. Stevens. How are you, Regan?
I'm not bad, Michael. It's good to be back on with you. I know you were sunning yourself in Greece. It was good to get a break from you, but it's good to see you back.
Yeah, I was going to say be honest there, Reagan, but I think you beat me to that. So yeah, welcome to the show. Before we go on to look at the European action this week, a very disappointing week for Celtic, Rangers, and Hearts in Europe. Let's start with a bit of positive news, you would say, Graham. The Scottish women's team has been drawn in the semi-final for the World Cup at home to Austria on August the 6th. And if they win that one, they will play Ireland at home. So, two big games coming up for Scotland. Well, first of all, the first game is the big one as well, but home advantage, Graham, that's good.
Yeah, and hopefully get a full crowd as well. I think you talked about the fact the tickets are only like £10, which is a brilliant, brilliant deal. You know, as St Johnson fans said a few weeks ago, 20 is plenty. I think £10 for a women's game was quite good. And I was checking earlier, and I think Austria are like, I think they're like ranked 20th in the world, I think it is. Scotland the 23rd, and Ireland the 26th. So they're kind of very, very similar in terms of that. So it's a decent chance for Scotland. I mean, I would expect home advantage should count. You know, I'm not going to lie, I don't know much about the Austrian women's team, but I think it'll be a difficult team. And then obviously, if we can get through that, then we've got Ireland. That would be a really good game, and I think there'll be a decent crowd for that as well. But it's a great chance for Scotland to qualify, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they can do that.
Michael,
Yeah.
Is the Austria game at home?
Yeah, Austria, and if we beat Austria, we'll be playing Ireland at home as well. So two games at home, so that's good.
I think I'll go then. I think I'll go.
As Graham said, about 20 is plenty, maybe 10's plenty. £10 for individuals, and for concessions, £5. And if you're interested in going to the game, the tickets on sale on Monday. You can go on to the Scottish FA website, or else I think you can phone them as well. But more details on the Scottish FA website. So, Reagan, a bit of positive news to end the week for the women's game.
Yeah, I mean it's the Scottish game, women's game's growing, and like you said, hopefully they can open Hampden up and make it a bigger crowd because I think that's important. I said to you guys earlier on the show about last year, I said that Barcelona had 70,000, PSG have had a lot of good crowds, Leon have a good crowd. So I think it's the time we opened up Hampden and not just settle for like having maybe 3,000 people there or 4,000 people. We should open up more spaces for them.
Yeah, no, exactly. The last time Scotland played Austria was back in 2017, and they met in the Cyprus Cup, and Scotland won by 3-1. So I suppose that's a bit of positive news going into the game.
Aye.
So that's August the 6th for that
I
one
see
against
Michael.
Austria.
I see Michael's done his research, Graham. I mean, it's no often he does his research, so we must enjoy that holiday.
Well, he hasn't done much research because that's twice he said August the 6th. Has he gone back in time? It's like Back to the Future.
Well, right, okay. Yeah, well, at least one man is paying attention to what I'm saying, because I'm definitely not, and Reagan's off to the game already. So, August, no, there we go, folks. Yeah. So like, we've got a 2-hour show to fill them. That's what I'm saying.
So when is the actual game here?
August the 8th.
Yeah. Keep it coming, guys. We've got 2 hours to fill. This is fun. I wasn't expecting this. The 6th of October. There you go.
Hey, well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Can we not start the show again? No, right, okay. So the 6th of October at Hampden Park against Austria, and as I say, if they win that one, they will play the Republic of Ireland. So a good incentive, Reagan, for the Scottish women's team.
I mean, it definitely is. I mean, I've seen them a few times at Hampden and played really well. They've got, is it Caroline Weir who's joined Real Madrid?
Yep.
For a Scottish player to join Real Madrid, I mean, that just shows you that the Scottish game's definitely on the up, and shows you that the best team on the planet, in my view, have come in for Caroline Weir. So it shows you that there's clearly some very talented players in that squad.
Yep. Good. Just to remind you again, actually, it's the 6th of October. And
the thing the thing is as well, if they win that and play Ireland on 11th of October, that's my birthday. Just saying.
Oh,
I'll just say as well, it's my birthday next Monday, so I'll be expecting a few things through my door, guys. You know.
Like
you don't want to know what I'm going to say. You don't want to know what I said through your door, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was just saying to Graham that we spend too much time together, and by talking about inside your letterbox, it's 2 hours short to fill. Brilliant. Okay, so just to remind you again, Scotland has, because I've messed up about 5 times already, Scotland playing Austria on the 6th of October, yes, and they play Ireland at home as well. And tickets go on sale on Monday. I'll put these details on the Locker Room Twitter, by the way. £10 for individuals and £5 for concessions as well. So there you go. So that's the women's game. So that's a bit of positive news to begin the show. Now for the negative stuff. We were on last night, Wednesday night and Tuesday night, looking at the Celtic Rangers and Hearts game. So where do you want to start? I suppose we need to start on the Tuesday night then. Reagan, I know you were at Celtic Park.
I was.
We haven't spoke to you since last week. Well, on the show anyway. How do you think Celtic fared in that game?
Michael, there's actually a bitter taste in my mouth, actually, because I thought when McGregor smacked that post, I thought that goal was going in, and I thought first half Celtic played well. Second half had a few chances through Dice and Maeda. You know, it was like that famous vacuum cleaner, they call it Dyson, you know. It was just hoovering everything up, but it definitely didn't put that one in the back of the poke, as I would say, Michael, but no, I think if Dyson Maeda puts that one in the poke, then it's a totally different game. I thought Celtic did really well. Real Madrid, but see that Vinicius Junior. I mean, I'll be watching him this weekend. There's still Spanish games on and Italian, so I'll be watching him. I thought he did a great game, Michael. And I want to get your thoughts on Modric because Modric at 37 years of age, Michael, and he's playing really well. I thought he played brilliant.
Yeah, no. I thought he walked through the game. Nothing. And the thing with that is Reagan, when the ball goes to him, it's quite difficult to get it off him. I don't know if you've kind of noticed that, and the ball sticks to his feet as well. And I think that's why most of Celtic Park stood up and applauded him when he went off the park, because it just showed you what a class player that he is.
I mean, if you look at Ange Postecoglou, I mean, the way that he's transformed Celtic has been great. I mean, for him to come in here 12 months ago and people to think that he's taking the Celtic to Champions League and the way he's doing is very good. The one thing I wanted to ask you and Graham is, I think it's important, right? The fact that I think the Nottingham Forest job will become available. Now, it's widely known, well, maybe not well known to you guys, but it's widely known that Ange Postecoglou is very, very friendly with the Nottingham Forest owner, who is Greek. So I'm thinking that Nottingham Forest might come in and try and take away Ange. So I think it's important that Celtic tie Ange down to a long-term contract, because you don't want to give it in to 12 months on his contract and then think, right, well, what are we going to do here?
Graham.
I hope so. Give the rest of us a chance. Take some of the players of them as well. That would help. No, I think there was also, I saw talk as well on Twitter about the fact that there might be a job, well, there will be a job opening at Brighton as well, since Graham Potter got the Chelsea job, which is just bizarre. But, you know, I think Ange would do really well in the Premier League, to be fair. I think he's done a great job with Celtic. Gordon McIntosh has said, thought Celtic gave a very good account of themselves, very good effort from the whole team. And I said this yesterday, the day before. I thought Celtic competed really well for up until Real Madrid scored. And you talk about Luka Modric. I could have watched that boy all night. He's just 37, but he's just phenomenal. I
think he could play to his 47, Graham, sorry.
Oh, he's just brilliant. He's an absolute genius of a footballer. You know, the ball just sticks to him, and he's always, even at 37, he knows the next pass before he's even played it. He's just so intelligent, and you could watch him all night. But I did think Celtic were very impressive, and you talk about the chances that they had. Maeda's chance was huge, and I did say as well on Tuesday that I think if Callum McGregor's shot goes in, I think the roof would become our Celtic Park. And I thought Celtic were probably, for me, the pick of the Scottish teams this week, because they competed against the European champions and they were fantastic.
Yep.
But it's just that level of quality Madrid showed that they could step it up. And once they get the second goal and then the third goal, I mean, the game's done. But for Postecoglou, I don't think he'll leave. Let's be honest, I don't think he'll leave. But I think there'll certainly be jobs there for him, because he has so far done a very, very good job with Celtic.
Reagan, I asked Graham this question last night, or maybe it was Wednesday night, I can't remember. Was that and I'll tell you why I'm saying this for, was that a kind of like free hit for Celtic, that game on Tuesday night?
I think it was. I think the more important game will be the Shakhtar game on Tuesday night.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night at 5:45. I think that'll be the more important game. But for Celtic to go toe-to-toe with Real Madrid for the first 45 minutes, because let's not forget, Real Madrid beat Liverpool last year, they beat Manchester City. They've beaten some really good teams here. So for Celtic to go there 45 minutes and hold it and do very well, I thought they could be very, very proud. And the thing I liked as well is I thought Rio Hatate looked really good in Europe as well. See that pass that he did as well in the first half? I watched it back on YouTube about 200 times. I probably see you know how you get the different clubs on YouTube. I've been watched about 500,000 times. I think the 400,000 times probably just be watching it myself.
I said on Tuesday as well, the pass from Jota to Abada was outstanding
Oh
as well.
my god! I mean, seeing Tuesday, I was kind of going there thinking, right, let's just go and enjoy this. But the further and further it was getting into the game, I'm going, Celtic could have a real chance here. So the further it got into kickoff, I said to the person I was with, I went, I'm going to put a wee bet on my phone here. So I put on 2-1 to Celtic and Jones to score because I just thought Jones has got a good
He
scoring
played well, yeah.
record as well, and he scored against Kilmarnock, he scored against Ross County. And he's probably a big friend from St. Peter's, Michael, as you know. So I thought, right, but I think Celtic can hold their head high, as you say, Michael.
Do you think, Reagan, that I know you were at the game as well, but do you think as though half time came at a bad time for Celtic because they were on top? Because at the beginning of the second half, they came out the tunnel and they were looking quite shattered because I think that was going to Real Madrid's tactics that Celtic were running about for 45 minutes. Real Madrid was like that. Well, we'll stand still until we, I was a tiger sometimes, as it were. And, so what's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that is it's probably true, Michael, because you look at it, when they're playing in Scotland, they're playing in third gear against St Johnstone, against Livingston, against Motherwell. They don't need to try as hard. And you look at the players that they're playing on Tuesday night. It was Modric, it was Vinny Jr., it was Benzema. So they need to also stay alert, but also try and play the right passes and not put themselves in trouble. So that takes it out on you. So I think it's right. I think they dropped the total intensity of their showing on Tuesday after the second half. I think if the chance from Maeda goes on in the 48th minute, it's a totally different game as well, Graham, because if you look at the chance from Maeda, that's for me one of the main reasons why he cannot be trusted as a main striker, because he's not got that poacher's instinct, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably came to him. I think did he not only come on at half time? So I think
He
if he's
did.
on a little bit longer, he maybe scores that. But it was a great chance. But I've got to be honest, Reagan, watching it on TV, it's very difficult to kind of tell what the atmosphere is like. What was it like actually being at the game?
Amazing. Celtic fans were 2-0 down and still singing away. Obviously, when the third goal goes in, the stadium empties, but I thought the atmosphere throughout the game was amazing. I mean, that there was a journalist from the Premier League who went, is it Michael Delaney? And he basically said that when the Champions League music was on, you could hardly hear it. He said you could just hear the noise of the stadium. And I think it was Guillaume Balaguer as well was there for CBS Sport in America. He basically said that he's never heard anything like it. I mean, for me, it was just incredible to see that level. But I would quite rather the team played well than the atmosphere, because as much as Modric saying it's a fantastic stadium, you would also love it to be a fortress of a stadium.
Would you say that as well, Graham, that you would rather get the big boys out the way first so that you know what to do? I mean, you've got another 5 games to go, and we're hoping from a Scottish point of view that Celtic's maybe on the brink of qualifying when they go over to Madrid for match day 6, and where Madrid plays the under-11s team or something, and there'll still be quality throughout that team. But are you quite happy from a Scottish point of view that Celtic played the big boys first? Because I wouldn't want to play Real Madrid in match day 4 or 3 or 4, because that's like the business end of the competition.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think you were going to always be difficult against Madrid. They're a fantastic team. So to play them first was a good thing, but I was genuinely surprised by that Shakhtar result against Leipzig. I didn't see that coming. I thought that Leipzig would win that game. They didn't, and then they sacked the manager. So for Celtic to now go to Ukraine next week, I mean, that's going to be such a difficult game because I genuinely thought it was going to be between probably Celtic and Leipzig for that second place. I think it's going to be difficult now because I think Shakhtar have got a lot to say in this now, so that could be a difficult game.
The only thing I would say to caveat that, Graham, and it's a good point you're making there about Shakhtar. The only thing I would say is important that if Ange Postecoglou goes into the game, that's the kind of category I want to ask you to. That's probably the category that you would say you must not lose that game, because if you lose that game, then Shakhtar already goes to 6 points ahead.
100%. I think you've got to think that Madrid are going to beat Leipzig. So that'll be Madrid on 6 points. If Celtic were then to lose to Shakhtar, that's them on no points after 2 games. That would be a huge difference to make up. So I think they have to try and get something in Ukraine. And I think Michael spoke about this other night, and I think I did as well, actually. The fact that you're having Postecoglou coming out and saying, we're not here for a tour. We want to win these games. Yeah. And that's what you want from your manager. He's been positive. And I think that's great. I think that's really good when you compare that to what Van Bronckhorst said after their game on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was just going to come on to there, Graham. That's absolutely polar opposite to what Gio Van Bronckhorst said. And that's for me, right? That's for me where I agree with Jim Goodwin when he came on Sky yesterday and said, well, Rangers should try and look at the rest of Scottish football, because for me, right, if I was a Motherwell fan, I would be grateful that Rangers and Celtic are in Europe and want them to do well. But see, when they come out with daft statements like that, you would go, what the hell are you talking about, mate?
Yeah, Michael knows this myself, and he agreed with it. I didn't agree with Van Bronckhorst's comments at all.
No.
If you're a player, as I said last night, if you're a player and you hear your manager coming out and saying, we're not good enough to compete with Ajax, Liverpool and Napoli, I'm thinking, what am I doing here then? It sends out completely the wrong statement for me. And if you're a Rangers fan, listen to that, again, you're thinking, well, what's the point of us being here then if that's what you think? So I just think it was very, very poor from Bronckhorst to say that. And then you caveat with what Ange Postecoglou said about, we're in this to get results. That's what you want. So I just think it's two very polar opposite opinions. And I think Van Bronckhorst was wrong to say what he did.
I watched the game the other night with my family, my uncle, who's a Rangers supporter, and basically he sat there and said to me, well, I'm starting to think whether Gio Van Bronckhorst has got it here. You know, I don't, we're basically sitting there and saying, we don't actually believe that Gio's got a plan. We don't see it.
Before we come on to, I think, Campbell's point, I want to stick on that theme about Gio after the game making that comment. Regan, do you remember that Neil Lennon said that after a game last season? I think it was a European game, where he said that we had Celtic had 3 or 4 players in that dressing room no fit to wear their jersey. Is that not similar to what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst said about Rangers on Wednesday night?
Yeah, that was exactly it, Michael. I mean, remember Neil Lennon threw the players under the bus against Ferencváros? He never got a response after that. I'm just wondering as well, Michael, right? And people can call me whatever they like to call me, but
too late for that, mate.
What I would say about Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is, right, now, he clearly seen McLaughlin make all these mistakes on Sunday, but continued to play him. I'm just wondering, right, now, Graham will Graham, he knows from watching football all his life probably, right? Managers are very stubborn, right? Now I'm just wondering, right, does Gio actually know now that Alan McGregor's a better goalie, but is he in his heart of hearts going, I can't be seen to change it because then it looks as if I've made a mistake? Is that what's happened?
Go on, Graham.
I thought about this as well, and I thought if you take McLaughlin out after that Celtic game, what does that do for McLaughlin's confidence? But then I'm thinking, well, I think McGregor is the better goalkeeper. I thought he
No
would
doubt
start
at
against
all.
Ajax. I thought he would have started against Ajax. But the fact that they've now lost 8 goals in the last 2 games, now for me, McLaughlin didn't do very much wrong on Wednesday. That nothing he could do about those goals. Saturday, yes, there was a lot he could have done. And I think it now, whenever the next Rangers game is, it's a massive question now for Van Bronckhorst about what does he do now? Does he change it? Because I think he's got a lot of questions to ask. But see if you just go back to Tuesday night for the Celtic game, I think there was a lot of positive Celtic could take from that game. You know,
Yeah.
they've taken on a Real Madrid side that are just oozing with class, and they've really competed really well. And you know, up until probably the third goal, Celtic were still in it. And again, you've mentioned it. I think Michael mentioned it as well. The Celtic fans still stuck with the team right through that. And I just thought Celtic gave a really good account of themselves, which is why I asked the question on here. You know, can Scottish clubs compete in European football? Now, Ian Leckenby comes in and says, no, they cannot. Scotland 0, Europe 13. Feels like we're in the Faroe Islands of European football. I kind of get his point there, but I thought Celtic, out all of the 3 Scottish teams, competed a lot better than Rangers and Hearts did.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would caveat to that and say is I watched the game last night, right? Graham will know this himself, right? Andy Hardy a few weeks ago wasn't getting a game. But Andy Hardy to then playing European football, which for me was just, I don't know. I was like, what is going on here? What is going on?
I
am. I know they've got so many injuries, but me and Graham said that last week, right? Michael was obviously away. We basically said, Michael, that Graham was saying that more people should have been in Hearts for the transfer window, and I agree with him. And I think that's now been proven to be true, because if you look at it, the squad is far too thin.
I was asked a question by one of our many friends on here, Graham Maloney, last week. I was asked on Twitter on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, it might be Monday night, I think. And he said, what's your thoughts on Andy Halliday after the Livingston game on Saturday last week, being on a radio show on the Monday, taking calls about Celtic and Rangers? Now, I didn't know because I never listened to it, but a lot of folk might think that's just one of these things. It's radio commitments. I don't agree with it. For me, I didn't agree with that. But listen, that's maybe an Andy Halliday's contract. I don't know. But it did wind me up a little bit. And then yesterday, or last night, I should say, what I didn't agree with Robin Nielsen on, he played Andy Halliday in a front 3. Andy Halliday's not a striker.
Oh, it was nuts.
So there are times I don't understand what Robin Nielsen's trying to do in that team, but we'll get on to that later. But I just think for the Scottish clubs in Europe this week, and I did mention it yesterday, and as Ian said, yeah, you know, Scottish teams have conceded 13 goals this season already, and it's not a great look for Scottish football. No. But you've got to bear in mind that Celtic were against Real Madrid, Hearts were against the top seeds in our group, and I'm not going to say that Ajax aren't a good team, because they are, and they battered Rangers.
Ajax are phenomenal, but Rangers made them look like Barcelona, Manchester City.
Can I just say something I like? Because I was having a conversation with Josh the other night. Josh is a good contributor to the show, and we all know that Josh is a Rangers fan, and he kind of agreed with me on this point. I know a lot of fans are going on about John McLaughlin selling the jerseys last week at Parkhead, but a lot of Rangers fans forgets that he got them to the Champions League, because if you think about the first game they played against, what was it, Union, that and I remember having this conversation with Graham on the show. Now that the game could have been over, Graham, before it went back to Ibrox, but it was not until he pulled off a brilliant save that they kept it 2-0 and the rest is history. So that he's part of the reason why Rangers are in the Champions League this season, I would feel.
I think McLaughlin's a good goalkeeper. When he was at Hearts, I really liked him. But every goalkeeper makes mistakes. Every player makes mistakes. And that game against Celtic last week, it was a poor afternoon for him. He will admit that himself. He made mistakes. But I do still think McLaughlin's a good goalkeeper. I just think that Alan McGregor, McGregor is the better of the two. But I think, as I said, it might have dented his confidence a little bit to take him out for the Ajax game. And even then, he actually makes a couple of really good saves in the Ajax game as well. So he is a good goalkeeper. He just had a really poor game last week.
No, the only thing I would say to that, Graham, is right. See Celtic and Rangers. It's okay having a good goalkeeper, but you need a very good goalkeeper like a Joe Hart, a Fraser Forster,
Craig Gordon.
Craig Gordon.
Yeah, and
there you go.
and basically, what I'm trying to say,
I think I'm going to get Craig Gordon to sponsor the show of his mentioned again more times.
what I basically mean is, Graham, right? I don't think that John McLaughlin is a better goalkeeper than Scott Bain. And that's no disrespect to Scott Bain or John McLaughlin, but I think there's just a certain level where you need to go. I mean, you look at Benjamin Siegrist. Benjamin Siegrist is a better goalkeeper than John McLaughlin.
I don't disagree with that. I've got to be honest, I don't disagree with that. And I'll be brutally honest here, right? And I don't know if you'll agree with this or not. I don't know, but I'm just saying this. I think the goalkeeper that Hearts have signed, Xander Clark, is better than John McLaughlin.
Yep, I would have signed him for Rangers. Big Rangers fan as well, Xander.
Well, sorry, Michael, just get to say we're getting more comments in here. So on my question about Scottish teams in Europe, can they compete? Yeah. Ian McKinnon says clearly not. Scottish TV Gold has come in. Very disappointing from Hearts. The whole team looks devoid of confidence, which we will get to. But keep your comments coming, people, because we are getting quite a lot of them tonight.
By the way, I've got to say, not that I comment on people's pictures on the contributors, but Scotland TV Gold, I love your logo, mate. I don't know that's old STV logo from years ago.
That's quite good. I recognise that. It's a good,
yeah.
Good one.
No, it reminds me of Is There Been a Murder? Target. Remember that? Different show. But where was I now?
We're talking about John McLaughlin, and I tell you something, he has been murdered.
Yeah.
Oh, boom, boom.
Boom, boom. He's here all week, apart from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So let's move on to the Rangers game then on Wednesday night before we come back to Scotland TV Gold comment about very disappointing for Hearts. Very disappointing for Rangers as well on Wednesday night. Reagan.
Yeah, I watched this game in full. With my Scottish football hat on, I was disappointed because you look at Rangers, right? Now, I'm not saying that Ajax are a fantastic team, but I thought Rangers were very disappointing. They were so negative on the ball. You know, can I ask you this question, right? I've never played football for obvious reasons, right? But see for that first goal for the zonal marking, nobody's picking this guy up. He's got a free hit. He's got a free header there.
See when you've just been hammered off Celtic, the last thing you want to do is concede an early goal, and that's exactly what happened. And it was awful defender. I don't know who's meant to pick him up. I personally am not a fan of zonal marking. You know, everyone gets a man and sticks on him. I think zonal marking is pointless.
Now, I said this on Wednesday night, Reagan, right? And I want to get your opinion on this, right? So Rangers were so bad on Wednesday night, right? Okay, everybody knows this, right? But if it was a tight game, right, and Rangers get beat 2-1 and Rangers put more effort into the game, I don't think Rangers fans would be, obviously they'd be upset because they get beat, but not so disappointed because at least they put a bit of fight into the game. But they never even leg a glove on Ajax the whole game.
No, I mean, for me, the best player on the park was James Sands. And for Rangers, I mean, and for me, James Sands has been played out of his place. James Sands is naturally a centre midfield player. And for James Sands to be the best player and not his position is terrible. What I want to talk to you guys about is Kent. I mean, For me, Kent is an absolute. He's a disgrace.
I'm
You
glad
know,
I'm glad you
he's
mentioned that.
he's a disgrace. I mean, he's an absolute. He's 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 living on a past reputation. I mean, the guy's only scored 2 goals last season, and people are like, "Oh, this guy could go to Leeds for 15 million and could go to Southampton for 20 million." Get a grip of yourself. Come on. I mean, the guy. I don't know. I don't know if it's because Steven Gerrard's away, but he just doesn't look interested. He doesn't look like he wants to be there. Like, I know people talk about Jota Abada, but if you look at Jota Abada compared to Mr. Ryan Kent there, I mean, it's just no, he's not got the numbers to do it. It's only 2 goals last season. That's not good enough for a Rangers wide player when the rest of Scottish football virtually play 10 men behind the ball. And as Michaels likes to always say, park free buses. You know, so I think if you're a Rangers fan, your big moment right now, if you're sitting listening to this on your radio or on YouTube, then you should be saying, I don't know what's happened to him.
I'm glad you mentioned that because at the moment, all Kent is offering is a couple of step overs, a chop inside, and not much
Oh.
else. He has been very, very poor recently. And listen, I've been a massive fan of Ryan Kent for a while, but I think he's flattered to deceive for quite a while. And again on Wednesday, he offered absolutely nothing. I mean, I don't know if it's a lack of interest. I don't know, but I just don't think he looks very confident. And
No.
I think that has to change. Again, even on Saturday against Celtic, I thought again he was very poor. There's something just not quite right about him just now. But for some reason, and whether it's because they don't have any other options, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst still continues to play him. If you've got a player off form, no matter who he is, you don't play him.
Well, Graham, I think the thing is as well is the it's clear to see that the Broncos wanted another wide player in. That's what it started all this tens of million coming on Wednesday night. Because for me, Rangers were needing another wide player and another attacking player because their squad is, Celtic for me, right? Celtic were needing a centre midfield player and a centre back. Celtic got that, and for me, that's the big reason for me why Celtic stole this league. Because you look at Rangers, right? They've got Matondo, they've got Lawrence, they've got Hadji, they've got Kent, and they've got Alfredo Morelos, right? All those players are so inconsistent. They've got no end product. But then you go to Celtic, they've got Jota, got Abada, they've got Hagzibanovic, they've got Maeda, they've got I'm trying to think of James Forrest who can't get a game. They've got so many options. Giacomakis, Kyogo, so many options. So I think for me, the top end of the pitch, Rangers have not been in a worse state than from when they've come back from the top flight. Because for me, this is getting back to the Pedro days. I really do. I mean, I was talking to Rangers fan earlier. He says he can't believe the drop off since they went to Seville for that final. I want to get your thoughts on this game. Do you think it's a case that maybe they've got a little bit? I don't mean complacent, but maybe lackadaisical, not got the foot in the ball, because a lot of Rangers fans said that John Lundstrom was the best on earth. We've got that song about him, but I don't see him being the best on earth this season.
No, I mean, you just go back to last week. You've got Celtic, who've got Matt O'Reilly, Callum McGregor, and Hatate. Rangers have got like Stephen Davis, Lundstrom. I mean, the Celtic midfield was dominant, and I was actually on Tuesday night. I was mentioning this on the show. You looked at that Celtic bench, and that Celtic bench was extremely strong. You look at Rangers bench on Wednesday, and it really didn't look that great. And I'm not being disrespectful to this guy I'm going to mention just now, but when you are relying on Scott Wright, you've got a problem.
Oh man, you're better with Peter Wright with him round my heating for the darts. I mean, I just think Rangers are in a bad place, and I'm going to say it right now. I think I think that the fact that we are probably not going to be playing for the next 2 weekends saves Gio's job, because the actual fact is that if Aberdeen were to get a point or 3 points if the game was on tomorrow, that'd have been that. You might as well send the title back to Celtic Park.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think the Rangers fans, if the game was on tomorrow, right, I don't think the Rangers fans would thank you for a point. They'll be going up there looking for 3 points, anything but 3 points. Disappointed, Reagan.
Yeah, Michael, and that's the point I'm trying to make, because if you look at the Rangers, right, when they played great under Gerrard in that last season, Rangers were streamlining teams. You see, now that this season they've played David Martindale side away, and they just beat them. They were 1-0 down until 78 minutes, and then they come back. They've not been impressive at all. And now, I'm not going to speculate, because I'm not going to count on that I know things, but I think if you look at the dressing room, I don't know if, because Graham, I want to ask you this: have you ever played football?
Surprisingly, yes. People might think no, but I have.
Right, because I'm kind of imagine, right, that the psychological um, side that I'm thinking, right. See, if you continue to lose games and the man they're losing games, they're going to eventually lose faith in Gio. Because see, if you lose 4-0 to Celtic, then you lose 4-0 again, then you possibly lose again tomorrow. There's no way. Like, I'm not going to say the players are not responding, but there gets a point where when you eventually lose 4 goals every game, then it's hard to go, right, well, something's not right here. And the perfect example for me was when Jack Ross, right? Jack Ross beats AZ Alkmaar, then gets beat 7-0, then gets beat 4-0, then gets beat 3-0, then gets beat 9-0. So Rangers fans do not want to see this.
I think Graham's made the point of the night so far on the show about the if you look at the two benches the other night, right? And we're not saying that Celtic will beat Real Madrid. To be honest, nobody would beat Real Madrid. But if you were dependent on a consolation goal, you would say maybe the Celtic bench. But if Rangers were playing Real Madrid, name me one player that would come on the park and score a goal.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing who wouldn't. I want to ask Reagan a couple of questions here, right? One thing I will ask first before I ask my second question. If you're a Rangers fan watching that game on Wednesday and you're watching James Sands and Connor Goldson struggling like they did against Celtic on Saturday, and then you look at Ajax and they've got Calvin Bassey there, you'd be raging about that, because Bassey was probably one of their best players, and he strolled that game on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I want to ask you this as well, Graham, because you look at the bench, right? Michael said that was the best point of the night, so I'm going to try and redeem myself here. Right, so you talk about the bench there, Michael, and you look at the player they brought in at half time. A guy at 18 years old, Leon King. That's not a guy you throw into a Champions League game.
No, I know.
No, a guy.
You may as well not Brennan in the morning, because that's got the dentist confidence as well.
Here's another question for you, right? And either of you can ask this or answer this. But do you think that Van Bronckhorst would be frustrated by Morelos? Because at the moment, he doesn't look fit at all.
No, he doesn't. That's that point I said the other night when I was watching the game, right? I think Morelos is a better player than Cholak, because you look at Rangers the other night, right? Now, the way that Rangers played last year in Europe, right? Now, Graham, you might agree with this, you might not, but the way they played in Europe last year was great, right? And part of the reason was Morelos was holding the ball up so well. Cholak didn't hold the ball up once. Not once did he hold the ball in. So every time that Bassey was having the ball, he was playing the ball into the wide man Steve Bergwijn. Bergwijn was going right through Tavernier and then putting it through to Tadic. It was so easy. So every time Rangers were losing the ball, it was just going straight to tags. It was like it was like one of those things you buy in the garden, and the ball just keeps going back.
Got a quick. Gordon McIntosh says, after watching Napoli take Liverpool apart, I think Rangers really are up against it. I'm going to fire a question back to Gordon here and anyone else that's watching, because there is a few of you. Liverpool, as a Liverpool fan myself, we have been very poor so far this season. Do you think there is a chance that Rangers could beat Liverpool? There's a question for you.
Mm-hmm. I think that'll be the egg and spoon cup for the last and second last of the. Graham, I did say at the start of the season that Spurs will finish ahead of Liverpool, and I wish we put that bet on, son.
I'm glad we didn't.
Going on the last two performances, you would say you would fear for Rangers going into that game, but I'm just want to touch upon the game. Like tomorrow, obviously we know the game's off for obvious reasons, and we're not going to go there. But do you think Rangers are quite glad that the game's off tomorrow so that they can get a bit of respite and prepare for the game? Hopefully, when it goes ahead against Tuesday against Napoli, Ibrox.
I'm worried now because Gordon says probably their best chance to take anything from the group. So Gordon thinks there's a chance that Rangers might beat Liverpool. I'm gutted now, but he might be right, to be fair.
Yeah, so that's and of course, speaking about the European games, Gordon and my favourite pal, Scottish TV Gold, wonderful logo that you've got. Sorry, I've got to say that.
I'm glad that me and Graham are not your best pals anymore, Michael.
I've kind of moved on, but me and Graham spending a lot of time together last week. His wife's getting worried. We'll be on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday again for the European games. It's 10 o'clock on Tuesday. Let me get this right now. 10 o'clock on Tuesday. 9 o'clock on Wednesday. Is that right? No, have I? No. Yeah. Okay.
No.
And 9 o'clock on Thursday as well. So yeah.
Is the Rangers game not an 8 p.m. kickoff?
Yeah, that's what I said. 10 on Tuesday.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. So that's us Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and hopefully we'll be back next Friday and Sunday with the Friday shows. We have a question mark beside it. So I know that you've been waiting to speak about this all day, Graham. So we're going to give you another to speak about the game. Last night we were on to speak about Hearts. Another poor performance, and I think Gordon made a comment earlier on. A very disappointing performance for Hearts, especially at home as well, Graham.
Reckons gone now because look about Hearts, he's in the half. No, I've had 24 hours to dissect it, and I've been on Twitter, and it's full of Hearts fans raging, and I can understand why. I think for me, the thing that's frustrating, and I spoke about this earlier yesterday, we didn't start the game well. We let Istanbul dictate the game. And when you're at home, you've got to start well. And we didn't do that. The Zurich game, we did. We were excellent in that game. And I think for me, and I've thought about this as well, I think we showed Istanbul far too much respect right from the start. Now, yes, they are the top seeds in the group. Yes, they've got a guy in Bertrand Traore who cost £17 million for Aston Villa 2 seasons ago. But I think Hearts had to do a bit more. And I said this last night again. Yes, Istanbul had chances, but I keep going back to this. If Andy Halliday takes that shot early, we might get something out of that. And if Peter Haring scores with that header that's put off the line, I think it might be a different game because I think Hearts would have the tails up. I think we get the crowd behind us and it might be a different game, but we didn't take those chances. And then obviously Peter Haring makes a really poor mistake. Istanbul score. And it's a long way back after that. And I did some stats earlier of the season so far. After 10 games in all competitions, Hearts have had 51 shots on target against us. That's not good enough. Now, I've seen a lot of folks say Robin Nielsen should be sacked. I don't agree with that. But then again, our colleague Dave Smith put in the chat earlier that is Robin Nielsen going to be under pressure if results don't change in October? I don't know if he will, But there's no doubt things have to change, because yesterday, what annoyed me most is that after the third goal, the heads dropped, and that shouldn't happen. And I think maybe it's a good thing the games are off tomorrow, because I think Robbie Neilson needs a break, because let's be honest, it's not been great recently. And I was actually looking as well at the stats that I think in the 10 games that we've played, we've only had, I think I read we've had 16 shots on target. Again, that's not good enough. And again, another stat I was looking at, we, I think, are one of the worst teams in Scotland at corner kicks. We've had 47 corners this season and only scored from one of them. We are so poor at set pieces, and I don't know why that is. Something needs to change quickly. There's a mentality through the club just now that, and somebody mentioned this to me as well earlier, that there seems to be a disconnection between the fans and the team. Now, I get where they're coming from, but I just think things have got to change quickly. And listen, everyone knows it's a results business. If Hearts start winning again, the fans are on side. But we've got to start winning quickly, because, again, last night, it was very, very frustrating.
I think this might sound like Groundhog Day, Graham, but every time I feel as though every time we speak about Hearts, we've got to speak about Craig Gordon, right? Because I feel that, I don't know if you would agree with me here, but I feel as though Hearts would be in a worse position if they didn't have Craig Gordon.
I think we would, and that just goes to show what the stats I've just read out. He's faced 51 shots on target. I mean, that is horrendous. Now, I think he is overworked. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. We all know that, but he is overworked. And I think even last season, I think I mentioned the fact that, yes, we finished third, but he faced the most amount of shots in the league. He's far too busy. And I agree. I dread to think where we would be without him. Like, if we had Ross Stewart in goal, I think we'd be relegated, because Craig Gordon's just one of the best goalkeepers in Scotland. There's no debate about that. But I think he's got to be really annoyed at his defence. I know we've got injuries, but people in front of him have got to do more. And I do worry now, although actually maybe not now as much, that if we do get injured to Craig Gordon, we've got a ready-made replacement as Zander Clark, who I think is an exceptional goalkeeper. So it's maybe not quite as bad.
But I mean, it's right sad how, as a Hearts fan, you're speaking about a goalkeeper. You should be speaking about your strikers or whatever, but to come, for us to speak about Craig Gordon every week, and I mean, he's a brilliant goalkeeper, but you shouldn't have to depend on him, Graham.
No, we shouldn't. He shouldn't be having to face as many shots as he does. Listen, goalkeeper has to make saves every game, I know, but he shouldn't be facing as many shots as he does. And I think some of that is injury, some of that's tactical things that Robbie does. I mean, again, I mentioned this on Twitter to one of the Hearts podcasts that I listened to. We don't have a midfielder or midfielders that come and take the ball from the back and are comfortable in possession and can play passes. So all we do at the moment, and it was the same last night, all we do is get the ball, pass it side to side. It goes back to Craig Gordon, who just boots it up the pitch to Lawrence Shankland. That's not what I want to see. Lawrence Shankland's not that type of striker. We're giving him no service. Again, last night, Alan Forrest, I do like him, but again, he never got in the game. And I kind of watched the game back a little bit earlier on today, and Barry Mackay's picking the ball up in his own half and playing like 50-yard passes. That's not what I want Barry Mackay. I want Barry Mackay playing further forward, threading passes through to Shankland. So for me, the system has to change. I said this last night. I do not like 3 at the back. It has to be 4-2-3-1. But for some reason, Robbie reverts back to 3 at the back, and it doesn't work.
But again, I know what you're saying about the passing there, right? But again, I feel that Groundhog, in fact, just put on last night's show, Graham, because we're kind of repeating the same stuff. But I mean, maybe in all due respect, that you can get away with that against Ross County, St Mirren, St Johnstone, but not in European football.
100%. You can't take that many touches in European games because you'll get punished, and that's what happened last night. You've got Peter Haring taking 4 or 5 touches. You can't do that. You've got to play one touch. You've got to play quickly, and that didn't happen. Gordon says, like with the Celtic game, if Hearts took the chances, the game could have been quite different. And I agree with that. We didn't have many. Don't get me wrong. But those chances, and again, I don't want to say if it falls to this player, if it falls to that player, But if one of those chances falls to Shankland, I think it's a different story.
No, exactly. I mean, yeah. Do you think it's Hearts is, bearing in mind this was Hearts' first kind of European game for, a few seasons in there. I find it hard to believe that was Hearts' first game in the group stages at Tynecastle, out with kind of like the whole firm as well. But do you think it goes down to the lack of an experience that Hearts has got at that level? But in saying that, it would be different if you signed Robert Snodgrass early on, because I think he's a brilliant signing. But it's unfortunate that he can't play in European football.
Yeah, even at 35, I think Snodgrass is a great signing. I was really pleased with that. But again, I said this to Regan last week. I think we should have done more on deadline day to sign a couple more players for European football, maybe players with experience. And we don't have that. We lacked that last night. I think, again, for me, as he was in the Zurich game, I thought one of our best players last night was Cammy Devlin. He was everywhere. He was the one that was putting tackles in. He was the one that was getting up the pitch and trying to help out. A lot of Hearts fans don't particularly rate Cammy Devlin. I love the guy. I think he's great. But we did lack that European experience, and they're going to have to learn very quickly. I mean, the last time we played group stage football, we played at Murrayfield. And I mentioned before, I'm not a massive fan of Murrayfield for football games. I just don't think the atmosphere is great. Playing these games at Tynecastle is great. But, I mean, last night, you could tell that the atmosphere was really flat. As soon as that first goal goes in, the atmosphere changed. And I just think the lack of experience did show. And that's where Robbie has to lift the team now. We've obviously not got a game this week. Hopefully we'll be playing next week in the game against Latvia and the game in Latvia. That now becomes huge. If we can get 3 points from that, we're back in the group again. But we've got to learn lessons from that. And I think that's the thing that they've got to do this week in training. You can't take 5 or 6 touches. You've got to get the ball moving a lot quicker than that, because you don't get that much time. And I will say, Istanbul were a lot better than I expected. They were very impressive in the ball last night.
Do you think it would help Hearts as well that the games would come out of the week now? It's going to get every 2 weeks, but because of they want to get more experience. But on top of that, Glenn, we were talking about the squad, the Hearts squad. You're talking about injuries. But they've not got the strength and depth heights of Celtic and Rangers. So do you think that's going to play a part as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're bringing guys off the bench last night, like Josh Ginnelly. And as I said last night, I was delighted to see Connor Smith getting a chance because I really like him. But we just don't have that strength and depth on the bench. No. And I said again last night, we are lacking that spine of the team. You're taking Kyle Rowles out. You're taking Craig Halkett out. You're taking Liam Boyce out. We've not got Benny Ingame. So we have got issues there. But that's where the manager comes in. The manager's got to think, right, what can I do to change this? And I just think at times Robbie's in-game management, I think, is lacking at times. And I think, again, that showed last night. You're playing Andy Halliday in a front three. Andy Halliday's not that type of player. I just think there are times that Robbie Neilson doesn't do himself any favours. And again, last night, he didn't really know how to change it when we went 1-0 down. And that's another thing as well.
And the big thing for me was that the Shags are here were footing the goals so many times. It was a bad thing before they scored. And if you're Robbie Neilson, I just think that, I know me and Graham spoke about it last week, that Budge was budging from not giving Robbie a proper transfer budget. But I mean, for Ange Budge not to back Robbie is a bit strange for me, Graham. Because
I mean, he has signed a lot of players, and I disagree with some Hearts fans that say that he's not signed well enough. I think a lot of these players are good players, but I do think on that window he should have signed another striker. Now we bring Stephen Humphreys in after the window, but Stephen Humphreys came from Wigan. That's not what I was expecting. And we needed another centre back. With Kyle Rowles and Halkett being out, we needed a centre back, and we didn't get one. So I think Budge and Savage have, they have given Robbie Neilson the funds to go and sign players, and I just don't think at times he's done well enough with that. And that transfer window for me, deadline day, when we played, I think it was Kilmarnock on the League Cup game on the Wednesday.
It was.
Robbie Nielsen came out after that and said, you can see we're still lacking numbers. And then we only signed one player after that. That for me wasn't enough.
No.
And I don't think to sign Robert Snodgrass after the window, I'm a massive fan of Snodgrass, don't get me wrong. But we could have done with him for that game last night with his experience. And I just think at times Robbie doesn't help himself at times.
How come he wasn't playing?
Because he's not allowed. He wasn't eligible.
How?
Because the European deadline was Friday and it was signed after that.
Oh, okay.
You're listening to the Locker Room on Indie Live Radio. Watching us live on Independence Live as well. We're here until 7 o'clock. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please comment on anything Reagan, Graham or Michael is speaking about. And also, you can get us on Twitter as well at the Locker Room Indie. We're just reflecting on the European week for Scottish clubs, and it's a bit disappointing week for the Scottish clubs. Reagan, you weren't on last night after the Hearts game. What was your take on the game?
I was disappointed. The chance in the first half where, I don't know who it is, Graham can correct me, but the chance he had at the back post with the header.
Peter Haring.
Yeah.
If he scores that goal, totally different game. But like I said, the Turkish team were they kept coming forward, they kept creating chances. There was one in the first half where it was nothing each when they smacked the post as well. Couple of good saves for Craig Gordon, so I think they fully deserved a win, but it's just disappointing.
On my question about Scottish teams in Europe again, John Guthrie says, in theory, yes, but being realistic with the money spent and the huge bonuses available, the incentive is clearly money orientated for the more wealthiest of clubs to succeed and win competitions, Roy the Rover stuff.
Let's speak about that then before we move on, because we're going to reflect on the not the season going by, because we're on the 6 games into the season, but just to speak about the other teams this season as well. But John Guthrie makes a good point there. Glenn, we were talking about this last week as well, in terms of Celtic and Rangers and possibly Hearts as well, throw them into the mix as well. But when Celtic comes up against Livingston or Rangers comes up against Johnson, Rangers and Celtic feels like Real Madrid, and Livingston feels a bit like Celtic, if you know what I mean, and they kind of games, because it all comes down to money, and they've not got the score to compete. I don't want to say could compete with them, because that's a bit kind of like unfair, but I think you see if I'm going with this one, Graham. Hopefully, if not, help.
No, I do. And I think this is where a lot of Scottish football fans out with Celtic and Rangers get really frustrated. When you hear guys like Van Bronckhorst coming out and saying, we can't compete with Ajax, Liverpool and Napoli because of the money, you think, well, how do you think other Scottish teams feel? That's exactly the same thing. Rangers and Celtic get, they pay their players a lot of money and they can sign players for a lot of money. Other teams can't do that. I think Hearts have paid £350,000 for the guy, Keo Morchikoglu, who can't even play yet because he's not got his visa through yet. So I think other Scottish clubs look at that and think, well, diddums. We can't afford to go and sign players like Celtic and Rangers can, so just get on with it. And it is difficult when I've said this before, I hate when Hearts go through to Glasgow because I know we're going to get hammered every week. So maybe that's the thing that Celtic Rangers are finding now. But I said this earlier. I think Celtic competed really well in spells against Real Madrid. And you look at the money that Real Madrid spend. And one thing that I do find really annoying, and I had this talk with somebody else as well, I know it's not on Scottish football, but I cannot understand how Barcelona are £1.3 billion in debt, yet they can still go and sign guys like Lewandowski. I can't get my head around that.
Money talks, Graham.
Money talks. Dirty cash, I want you, dirty cash.
No, but seriously, funny enough, I'm not good saying this as well, but I had the exact same conversation. Maybe it was with the same guy, I'm not sure. But we were talking about this last week, and the Man Uniteds and the sort of Barcelona's. not so much Real Madrid, I'm not very sure. But teams like that are in debt. You don't hear about it, but they are behind the scenes. And I think that money covers it up a big bit. Would you agree with that, Reagan?
Yep, and I think that was just showing last week when teams like Leicester, Chelsea, Man City, Barcelona, Rangers were all in that financial fair play thing. You know, they've been told, look, if you spend any more money, then you need to be careful because these UEFA sanctions will be serious.
All you've got to do, right, and I don't want to go back to the future, like I said earlier on where Michael mentioned 6th of August, but all you've got to do is look back to the Super League idea. That was all about money.
Money.
That was all that was. It was about money.
Do you want my general opinion?
Nah.
You can look back. You can look back on this YouTube video in 2 years' time, 1 year's time. The Super League will happen.
Will Hearts be in it?
No,
I'm not watching it then.
but it will happen because I'm telling you right now.
But I mean, in all seriousness, we didn't want the Super League, but if it was going to happen tomorrow, they're actually doing their own fans out of pocket.
Would you? I'm sorry, I just want to ask a question. If you were Celtic and Rangers and you were asked to be in that, would you go in for it?
Yes. Because I'm telling you something right now, right? The Champions League changes format in 2025. Me and you spoke about last week. Changes format in 2025, right? So they're going to come up with a new way of thinking, and the Super League is going to be a way of thinking because Real Madrid and Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, still want this, right? So you try to tell me that they are not the three biggest clubs on the planet. They are going to have an impact on this.
But
Well,
sorry, Michael. I was just going to say the whole reason the Super League never happened was because of the fans. They protested, and that'll happen again. I guarantee it will happen again.
So that just shows you about the Conference League. Okay, it's not kind of like high profile and stuff like that. I better watch what I'm saying because Graham's on, but that's another way for clubs to make money. So, like, technically, and then when you go into this debate further, you speak about the Champions League and you say, well, half of the teams that are in the Champions League are not champions.
Yeah, I think I even seen an interview on BT Sport this week where a guy was basically saying he can't believe that the World Cup is in Qatar, that is in the Middle East. He can't believe it.
But I think that's another conversation for another day. I think that could fill a 2-hour show on a Sunday, Graham, as well. Let's go on to speak away. Obviously, there's no football this weekend for obvious reasons, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll be back on Tuesday night for the Champions League and the Conference League, and this weekend for the last ring of games. I think it is before the Scotland game takes place in the Nations League. Let's look back at the season so far. I know we always do this at the end of the season, but because we've got a bit of time tonight, we thought, well, why not look back at the 6 games being played, and we'll try not to speak about Celtic, Rangers and Hearts because we've spoken about them for the past week in the past hour. So I think we've dug them a bit of justice this week. Let's begin with Aberdeen. Interesting comments coming out from Jim Goodwin. I haven't really heard him, but he was talking about Rangers in Europe, Reagan.
Yeah, he was saying that this weekend that they're playing Rangers, and basically he believes that Flood is the target, but they definitely won't be writing off second place because he sees the Rangers are out.
See, sorry, Graham, before you come in there, I've got a real issue with that, because, I mean, deep down, you're a Hearts fan, right? Are you a Hearts fan? Yeah. But deep down, if I said to you, is Hearts going to win the league this season, you would say no, right? But you would imagine Hearts are going to win the league, right? But you would imagine that you know, as a Hearts fan, every season you're not going to settle for fourth place or third place. You're going to settle for second place. So it's a bit like the Hearts assistant manager coming out earlier this season and say, "No, we're going to aim for the top." It's a bit like Andy Postecoglou in the Champions League. Okay, that's a different competition and a different league. But I mean, for Aberdeen fans to hear that, would you not be a bit disappointed for your manager to come out and say that?
Hearts are winning the league. Oh, sorry, FIFA. We're talking about FIFA. No, I think you probably would be. I think you always have to aim high. I mean, I know that it's going to be very difficult because Celtic Rangers are. This is the thing that I said this weeks ago. I do still believe that Celtic Rangers will be about 20 points ahead of everyone else, maybe even more. But
but the point is this. Sorry, Glenn, but the point is this: like, we all know in the media and all that and us here that nobody's going to win the league with outside Celtic and Rangers, but you need to believe, because if you don't have that mindset, then you're going to say, well, we're going to walk away and have a season finished before Christmas. That's no especially if you're talking to the fans as well. That's no, maybe it's just me, but you can't afford to go. I mean, the likes of Din in England, I mean, Leicester wasn't going to see years ago, oh, well, we've got no chance of winning the league. I know what, they won the league. Okay, they've got more money and you would say better players, no disrespect to the Hearts players and all that. But I hope you see where I'm coming from there, Graham, and that kind of big rant I gave you.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's why I quite like Joe Savage a few weeks ago coming out and saying that he wants Hearts to be up there challenging for that, like, for the league. That's what I like. Trying to do it is very difficult, but that's what you've got to do. You've got to aim high and actually look at the Aberdeen squad. And I think Jim Goodwin has signed really well. I've been impressed with Aberdeen this season. Okay, they lost against Motherwell a few weeks ago, but they managed to bring it back again. And I think they've had a decent start to the season. You know, they're sitting on 10 points, they're sitting in third place. They could easily be up there challenging, but it's very difficult to do. But you have to try and aim high. And that's what you want as a fan. You want your team to aim high. And while it will be difficult, you've still got to try and get as high as you can. And I think Aberdeen have got a chance this season. They won't win the league, but they can certainly be up there challenging with that squad they've got.
And also in the cup competitions as well. Now, while me and Glenn was having that very serious conversation there, Reagan for Michael's on one of his rants again, and he's actually took him. He took us into the living room, and you've got a piano behind you.
Is there a sale on at DFS again or something? That's some sofa you got in the background there, son.
I was gonna say, because Reagan's got the piano, I think he's hitting the right note there, Glenn. Would you agree?
I'm saying nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's when your background, guys. You like it?
You think I guess yeah, no, it's my new house I've moved into, but yeah.
Yeah, it's luxury.
It's better to be honest, I suppose, Reagan.
Yeah, my house is looking good, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't know you played the piano.
I'm quite a good pianist.
I was going to wonder what you were going to say there.
Yeah. And coming up next week on the show, we've got Nick Knowles. He's coming on to speak about the new series of DIY SOS coming from Reagan's house. Anyway, let's get back onto the subject, right? Aberdeen, Reagan, I know you see a lot of Aberdeen, you know, but are you a bit disappointed by Goodwin's comments?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my brand new house in Aberdeen, as you can see here, guys. But no, Aberdeen have been in great form so far. Ross McCrory's been a standout for me. I mean, you've got Majowski, who's been really good. What's the young guy called? Lane Clarkson, what a player he is.
Lucky man.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of good players. I like Stewart at the back as well. I think Stewart looks a good player, Graham.
Yeah, he does. I think he has been really good.
I thought I'd tune my background. I'm a bit distracted by the piano
So am I.
Yeah, so am I. Like, but yeah, but well, you're just lining these jokes up for me as well. That so when Aberdeen plays, do you think Jim Goodwin will get a good tune out of them? Sorry, I hope you like my.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that tumbleweed in the back there?
I think you will, but I think it's just.
Oh, that's what it was. I thought that was a
I think
fire alarm going off.
I think it's important for Jim Goodwin that he can just hit the, he can just hit the, he can hit the right note. He can hit the right note and do well, because I think if you look at Jim Goodwin, he was at St Mirren, he done well, but then last year the Aberdeen fans were starting to go off him, but then when he started to bring in more of his new players, have started to come on really well. So yeah, I think if you're Aberdeen, you've got to be very happy with it.
I think one of the obviously I was away in holiday. Did I tell you that?
You
I was
mentioned
away in
that, you
holiday.
mentioned that.
Yeah. I've not mentioned it for at least 5 minutes. And I came back and I was watching the highlights last week, and Nicky Clark is the signing for St Johnstone. I don't know about you guys, but I feel as though that's a good signing for St Johnstone, because they were struggling big time, and yet he made his debut last week, and he was on the park 25 minutes and they scored the goal.
Yeah, I mean, Nicky Clark's a born goal scorer. Obviously his dad's a good goal scorer, Sandy as well. He's from Greece as well, Michael. Sandy.
Yeah, Greece is the word. Yeah, okay. Is it 7 o'clock? Yeah, no, okay.
It's been a long week.
Nicky Clark,
Yeah.
a very good signing for St Johnstone. I think St Johnstone will crop up that table.
Yeah, no, I mean, do you think that that will be the difference of, obviously it's a bit early yet, Graham, but do you think that will be the difference of St Johnstone finishing in the top 6 this season to the bottom 6?
Yeah, possibly. And I think now that Nicky Clark is hopelessly devoted to St Johnstone, boom boom, he will be a very good signer for St Johnstone. And I think I said as well at the time that when he came out and said after the United debacle that it was good to be wanted again, I mean, it shows you that he clearly wasn't enjoying his football at United. And I think St Johnstone have given him that platform. And I think Davidson, he has been under a lot of pressure, maybe harshly, but I think that's a great signing. You know, they've now got Nicky Clark, they've got Stevie May, they've got Graham Carey, who I think is a really good signing as well. So they have got some decent quality there. Whether they'll get top 6, I don't know. I did think I was a bit worried for them. I thought they might get relegated this season. I'm still not sure yet, but Nicky Clark will absolutely score goals for them. And I think it's a 3-year deal as well. So it's a great signing for them.
Let's speak about Motherwell this season. I know that we were talking about Nicky Clark going to St Johnstone, and it's a good signing for the Saints, but Motherwell needs to find a goal scorer pretty soon, because Van Veen, okay, he was in these positions, but he never scored. He should have got a hat trick last week, but they need to find the back of the net very soon, Graham.
Yeah, Van Veen's the one that they want. I could do this all night.
I told them this. Yeah.
Come on, get on my wavelength. Come on. I'm setting these up. No, Van Veen should have had a hat trick last week. There's no doubt about that. Did everything but score. He had that penalty saved. He had another shot off the bar. It was just one of these days. He just couldn't score. But yeah, I think probably bringing Louis Moult back was a good signing. I know he's 30, but I think it's a really good signing for them. He will score goals for them. And I will be honest, when Stevie Hamill got the job, I wasn't convinced, but he's done okay so far. He's done really well. So I think Motherwell could have a decent season, but I think they probably could have done with strengthening a little bit more in that window. But I think they'll be fine this season. And I do think Stevie Hamill is a decent choice. I mean, they're sitting, I think, I'm just getting my table here, they're sitting 5th just now. So it's a decent start for Stevie Hamill. but I do think they need another goal scorer. I do think we said this before in the
They've
show.
got Mo.
I know, but they do rely a lot on Van Veen. And, are Louis Moulton and Van Veen going to be enough to get Motherwell in that top 6? Possibly, but another one would have helped, I think.
Keep your comments coming in, baby. Love to hear your comments, especially on who do you think will win in Europe next week. Email us. No, don't email us. Comment on Twitter at The Locker Room Indie, or else leave a comment on Facebook and YouTube. You're watching the Independence Live, or you're listening to us, you wonderful people, on Indie Live Radio. We're here until 7 o'clock as well. Let's just go across to Paisley now. Are you disappointed about on the Scat St Mirren, Meg Reagan?
I've been quite surprised with them. I didn't expect them to be up where they are. Stephen Robinson got 3 wins in a row. Then obviously it came to end last week against St Johnstone, as I predicted, Graham, last week.
You did. I was surprised, to be honest. I was surprised.
And I predicted that Livingston would be a hard slash, 2 correct scores.
What were the lottery numbers last week?
I'll tell you something else, Graham. I only got one number in the lottery. I put it on today, though, Graham. I mean, lucky dip.
Oh, right, okay. Yep, there we go. Wonder what you were going to say about lucky there. So yeah, St Mirren. What do you think of their chances this season, Reagan?
Well, obviously I need to be nice to you, Michael, because that's your local team.
Yes.
St Mirren, the buddies, as they like to call themselves. I think they're started well under Stephen Robinson. They're doing well. They've signed quite well, Graham, as well, haven't they?
They have. I'll be honest, they had a really poor Premier Sports Cup run, and there was a lot of pressure on Robinson from St Mirren fans. Then they got beat against Aberdeen 4-1. Obviously, we know Declan Gallagher got sent off, and after that, they went on that run that you said. And it looked like they picked up again. And I'll be honest, I was very surprised at that St Johnstone game. I thought they would have won that game. But fair play to St Johnstone. But they have signed well, St Mirren. And I don't think they'll finish top 6. I think probably about 7th or 8th. I don't think they'll get relegated. But I think Robinson's done well to pick it up because they had such a poor start to the season. So I think they'll do okay this season. But I just think top 6 might be a little bit out of their reach.
Let's go over to Edinburgh then. Graham's neighbours. No, not home and away. Hibs. And let's hope, I don't know if anybody's heard this week, but I hope Lee Johnson's out of hospital now and recovering, because he was in hospital last week for an operation. So hopefully he's going well. Graham, I'll come to you first. But do you think that, and I know that you would agree with me here, and I'm not saying this as a joke, but do you think Hibs is a one-man team?
It's hard to say. I mean, Martin Boyle is going to be a huge player for them. I don't think he's really set the header alight yet. Obviously, he came off the bench against Hearts and he's comeback game and scored. And after that, he's not really done much else. But if you look at it, Hibs have actually signed the most players in this window. They signed 16. Now, that can take time to gel those players together. I think Elliot Ewan's a good player, but he doesn't score enough goals. They've obviously got Harry McCurdy from Swindon. They've got Will Fish in. I could make many Fish jokes, but I won't. It's not the time and place. But I think they will be.
I heard he's quite good at putting things in the back of the net.
This could go on all night, I'll be honest, because I've got plenty more of these. But I mean, I think you're quite right, Michael. I hope Lee Johnson is okay. He'll be delighted after the game last week. But I just think when you sign that many players, it's going to take time to gel. And I think it's been a frustrating start for him so far. I think they're sitting 9th at the moment. They just don't score enough goals just now. For me, I think there's no doubt they're really missing the likes of Kevin Nisbet. I was surprised they let Christian Deutsch go to Kilmarnock. So they do lack that bit of natural quality up front. But maybe McCurdy will be a good player for them. I don't know. But it's been a frustrating start for him. and they have to pick that up soon. Obviously, there's no game tomorrow, but they've got to start picking up results quickly because I think Hibs could have a decent season this season. They do create a lot of chances, but they don't score enough goals, and that's got to be a slight concern.
The only thing I did see, Michael, is that there might be the guy from Scottish squad called PC McCurdy.
Gives even to it, Graham. He's enjoying his piano. Let's go on to speak about Ross County. Reagan, earlier on you were talking about other clubs sniffing about Angie Postecoglou and Graham mentioned about Brighton, but would you say that the next job it comes up in Scottish football, they'll be looking at Malcolm Mackay at Ross County because he's been doing not a bad job?
I think he would be a candidate for Dundee United. I was
going to say that.
Yeah.
I really did, because if you look at Duncan Ferguson and you look at Fox, is it this is in charge right now?
Lee Fox or something?
Liam Fox.
Liam Fox.
He doesn't look as if he's going to be a manager, so I think Malcolm Mackay would be the obvious candidate. I've said that my teeth in there.
Might be better with Samantha Fox.
That's why he's not got a show on Sunday, Fox.
Carry on.
I was going to say some girls' name, but I thought, no, we'll get put off here.
Lads. So going back to the Dundee United, Dundee United, Malcolm Mackay has shown he's a very good manager. He's shown that against Celtic last week when they scored that goal to make it 2-1 and make it interesting for them. And I think he's got all the credentials to be a top manager.
That's actually quite a good shout, Regan. I never thought about that. Well done. That's why you're on the show. About Malcolm Mackay for Dundee United. No disrespect to any Ross County fans watching this or whatever, but I think he will have more of a budget at Dundee United. Not millions of pounds, Glenn, but a bit more than what he can buy at Ross County.
I watched Ross County first game of the season against Hearts, and I thought they were excellent. They played some really good football, and I think Malcolm Mackay does try to get his team playing the right way. I've said already as well, I do think they really missed Joseph Humble and Regan Charles Cook. They have strengthened, but I think they could have done with a little bit more up front. But some of the football they play is actually quite decent. Obviously, they played Celtic in the League Cup a few weeks ago, and Regan knows this himself because he mentioned that Ross County made a lot of changes in that game. And I don't think that was the right thing to do. But I think Ross Kent will be absolutely fine this season. I actually think they could potentially be an outside chance of that top six, because I do think they play some decent football.
Would you say that Ross County, and I think I said this to you before, Glenn, but do you not think there's comparisons between Ross County and Hamilton? Because the reason I'm saying that is, you know what you're going to get with Ross Kent and Hamilton. They give you a decent game, whether it's home or away.
Yeah, they do. Dingwall is not an easy place to go, although sometimes for Celtic it is, like last week in the League Cup, but they do make it very difficult for you. It's a really difficult ground to go. It's quite a tight pitch, and they get the ball forward quickly, but they do try to play football as well. So, they are a good side. And, Hamilton, again, they were a very hard team to play against at times, but I just think Ross Kent have got something about them this season. There's something, they've got a real energy about them, and the players seem to actually play for Malcolm Mackay as well, and that's what you want. So I think Ross Kent have a decent season this season. As I say, I think they could potentially finish in the top six this season.
Now we've got a special guest coming on the show, Graham. In fact, I'm kicking on because you always produce the show, so that joke's not going to work. I was going to say David Martindale was coming on the show, but that's not very funny because David know about it anyway.
He's my pal.
Yeah, people watching this and they say David Martindale and Reagan, what's going on there? Last season, Reagan made a brilliant prediction that David Martindale will be the first manager to get P45 and the Rescue History. I think David Martindale got the last laugh there, Graham. But let's go on to speak about Reagan's favourite team in the league, Livingston. How do you think they're faring in the league line? 7th at the moment.
Yeah, I think David Martindale's doing a great job. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but
You crawler.
Yeah.
You absolute crawler.
is David Martindale no the longest serving manager in Scottish football? Yeah.
Well, if it was up to you, what it wouldn't be?
Well, I'm just trying to sweeten the blow, Michael, after last season. And I'm quite happy to admit that was wrong because David's become a good friend of mine. Yeah. No,
I'm sorry, I just can't take my eyes off your house, Reagan.
it's a belter, isn't it? Absolute belter.
Take,
I'm
take
going to go and play the piano, see later.
Name that tune.
don't hit the high note now. So,
No,
yeah,
you-
no,
The
Take
high
the high
note
road.
and I'll hit the... It's been a long week.
yeah, and it's going to be even longer on till November. Jim Forrest, answer to the question above is no. So what's a
When I said,
Um,
are our Scottish clubs equipped for European football?
Yeah, I like how the audience is paying, is keeping up with the show, and we're not keeping up with the show, so that's good to know.
Actually, I would actually say, like, I think that, is it unfair to say that Celtic and Rangers, okay, they're in the Champions League, but are Celtic and Rangers more equipped for Conference League than they are the Champions League? Because you look at Rangers last season, they went all the way. So as good as it is to get the money in and to play teams like Real Madrid, is the Conference League maybe a better option for Celtic and Rangers to be in?
Yeah, I think it is.
Bearing in mind that was a Rangers team that had Bassett in it, Grim.
And Joe Aribo, who was probably one of the players of the year.
Actually, that's a good point. He's been a massive miss as well, and he's done well at Southampton so far as well.
Aye.
Did you not score a goal the other week? I was watching highlights, and I'm sure he scored the goal.
He
Yeah,
did.
he's done really well.
Yeah, he's holding this place down well there. But I'm not so sure about that one, Grim. I don't know about Reagan.
Yeah, I think the Conference League's a good stage. But I think if Celtic and Rangers, you'll be aiming for the Champions League. But like you said, Graham, that's probably the best chance of going very far. Because you look at it on Wednesday night, Rangers got a bit of a reality check. Now they've got Napoli coming up, and then they've got who's the other team?
Liverpool.
So they've got those two coming up, and you think to yourself, you're probably going to get 0 points at most of the games. Probably
The way Liverpool are playing, that might not happen.
Well, one team we haven't spoke about in the Big Boys League is Kilmarnock. I don't know about you guys, right, but I know that they're good back in the league, but I've been very disappointed with them. Take away the Celtic game, because to be honest, anybody could get a hiding off the Celtic in the league at the moment. But I've saw them a few times on the highlights, and they've been a bit disappointing.
I mean, the best thing about the club this season's been the pie. And I actually had a pie today before I come on the show about 4 o'clock there. So I have to say to John Brown and the pie's a lovely mate. Honestly.
For any Kilmarnock fans watching this, I'm going to say now, I'm going to do a Reagan. I think Kilmarnock could be in trouble this season. I think they could go down. I really do.
Oh, that's a bold statement. I'm gonna clip this back in May time.
They'll end up winning the league.
They'll qualify for Europe or something.
Probably.
Hey, well, you forget here first. Graham has tipped them to go down. But I mean, in the evidence at the moment, you would be surprised.
No, but to play devil's advocate to Graham, they're in a quarter-final of a League Cup.
Lucky.
if they win that game, then they'll be in the semi-final. No. If they win that game, they'll be semi-final. And they played that Dundee United as well, so it's a good chance. I think they play them at home as well. Is that correct, Graham?
Yeah, it is. But I've just not seen a lot of. I mean, even against Hearts in the Cup, Hearts dominated that game and just couldn't score. I've not really seen a lot of Kamara that really impresses me. I think Kyle Lafferty has been badly off form. I've said before, I think Ollie Shaw is a championship level striker. I just don't think going forward they've got enough for me, and that's why I think they could be in trouble this season.
Okay, so hopefully the football will be back next weekend. It goes to remind you as well that hopefully we're waiting on confirmation about the Champions League and the Conference League being on this week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be on Indie Live Radio and Independent Live. I will do it again because I've got the time right this time, hopefully. 10 o'clock on Tuesday, 9 o'clock on Wednesday and Thursday. I'm looking at Graham with one eye saying, am I right, mate?
Thursday I think Thursday will be 10 o'clock because the Hearts game's at 8.
Right, okay. That's fine.
Oh, they're home
away.
Away in Latvia.
I thought I was doing well there, Graham, but you should give that a go, you know.
But at least you never said the game was in August.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, I'll give you that one, mate. 1-0 to you. First goal in what was it, 2 years or something? Yeah.
Oh, that's the first goal I've seen from a Hearts fan for a while, to be fair.
Oh, VAR chopped off offside. Before we move on to the Davis Cup tie that Mr. Regan Stevens is going to next weekend, they're playing against US of A. Let's update you on ice hockey because I haven't spoken about ice hockey in the show for a wee while. The season is up and running, and you'll not be watching this because they are kicking off in about 7:30, so I presume that you're away at the moment. Brayhead Arena for Glasgow Cran against the Five Flyers. Say that with your teeth in, the right way up, right? And then they're playing on. They're playing on. Hold on a minute. They're playing on Sunday against Dundee Stars. That's a wee bit easier to say, actually. Dundee Stars. So good luck to the Glasgow Clan. They're playing tonight and they're playing on Sunday night as well against Dundee Scars.
Are these games still going ahead, aye?
Yeah,
Yes.
the games are on.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's just the old football. It's off at the weekend.
Do you know, I've only been to one ice hockey game, and that was when I was like 8 or 9, and it was actually quite good. It was entertaining.
Are they at home on Sunday?
They're away to Dundee.
I was going to say I'll go along. I'm bored.
Yeah, no, away on Sunday.
How can you be bored? You've got piano there. Just start playing tunes.
I know, exactly. Yeah. Good evening, Kevin. And glad you're watching. Kevin's a big Auchinleck fan as well. Just incidentally, when we're talking about junior football, right? You know who's my local team is Affley, like come on the lead from behind, right?
Yeah.
And you know who's on the TV? Is it this weekend? The first round of the Scottish Cup. Pollock, the Lock. They're playing against. I can't remember who they're playing actually. It's Netflix night. Is it Netflix? Yeah, it's on the TV. And anyway, sorry.
Is it no Huntley they're playing?
Huntley, yeah. Just as well you say Huntley because it rhymes with something else. Yeah, so I guess I would mention that there because Kevin said, come on, the Talbot as well.
I thought that said Tablet was getting hungry though.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long week, mate. November can't come quick enough. Anyway, let's speak about the Davis Cup kicks off next weekend, or is it next week? against Auchinleck Calvert. Hold on, has been confirmed of a Scottish Cup tie first round.
Has Kevin just typed like loads of random figures in there? Because that just looks really weird. Syngenta FC.
Maybe they're in the Conference League. Maybe if you can confirm that, Kevin, and stuff like that. I think he's actually gave us a whole list for the season, Graham, as well. So at 8:00 kickoff.
Oh,
so
well, come on, because Kevin's watching. Come on, the Talbot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who are they playing? Come on, the other team. From Twitter. Yeah.
Who are Syngenta?
Okay. So that's ice hockey at the way. We'll be covering the ice hockey games as well. Glasgow 5 Flyers tonight. I won't say that again. And Sunday they're playing Dundee Stars. Regan's a star because they play the piano. Regan, your Davis Cup time as well at the Emirates next week. Great Britain against USA.
Looking forward to going along there on Wednesday for that. 4:00. Leon Smith, Andy Murray, Mr. Cam Norrie. It should be good. USA have actually got a good team. Sinner for his sins, Mr. Sin. Yeah, I mean, I think that. Oh, there you go. Syngenta Juvenile is a green in 1960. That means they'll be 67 years old, all right? 66.
I'm sure Michael must have seen him. He's about that old, is he not?
Aye, definitely.
Yeah, I was a Jan in the school, mate.
Michael, I was going to say, mate, you've not got much of a tan for going on holiday for a week.
No, I know exactly.
He washed all the grease lightning off.
Okay. Kevin, you want to come on and I'll go for my dinner? Okay. So you were saying, Regan, about the Davis Cup. Come on, let's get back on track, guys.
USA have got a good player called Jack Sinner, who will be a good
USA. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Who will be a good player for them. They've also got John Isner, who's probably the best server to ever live on the planet.
Actually, I was going to Regan, do you remember? I think it was Wimbledon quite a few years ago now when it was John Isner and I can't remember who the guy was, but they played forever. It was probably one of the longest games Wimbledon's ever seen. I can't remember the guy's name.
It was John Isner and Sam Queenie.
Was that the game that was on for about 40 days?
It was on for ages.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it not the first round or something?
I was playing the piano for a long while and then I just all of a sudden I was like, what's going on here? But it was a long game. For John Isner to play that long, and I think he served probably the best serve that's ever been.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, no. So I've not been watching the US Open, Regan. Have you been watching it?
Yeah, I watched Nick Kyrgios against Medvedev. That was a great game. I actually stayed up to 4:00 in the morning to watch that. But do you guys think Klopp will get fired with a few bad results? Because just for the fact that he keeps playing. Every time you hear your Klopp interviewing now, he tends to blame somebody else. The other day it was Gabby Agbonlahor, then it was the pitch is too dry and stuff like this. See when managers start coming out, Kevin, and start blaming other people and start doing things, then you start to wonder, because if you actually look at it, and Graham will know this from watching the game, Trent Alexander-Arnold looks a different player than he was 2 years ago. He was absolutely jogging for that the other day. Did you see the fourth goal he scored? They get the two forward players on Napoli basically played the 1-2 straight through the full defence.
I think with Trent is outstanding going forward, but he's never been great defensively. And I think, again, it showed on Wednesday. And I think I mentioned this with one of my mates as well. See, when you're still starting James Milner, you've got problems. James Milner's not good enough now. He's far too old. Liverpool have got issues. Van Dijk's been really poor recently. And that's why I think Rangers, I don't want to say this, but I think Rangers might have a chance against Liverpool, because that Liverpool side just now
No way.
is I think Liverpool are lacking a spark. I don't think Klopp will get sacked. I think he's got plenty of credit in the bank. And if Klopp was to get sacked, I honestly think we'd go down a hill, because he's been an outstanding manager for Liverpool. Is he under pressure? I don't think he is, but results have got to change quickly.
Yeah,
If you look at it, Graham, right, they played Everton, they played Palace, they played Fulham, they played all of these teams, Manchester United, every single one of these teams, Fulham, Crystal Palace, you would expect Liverpool to beat them. So I think if you keep saying results have to change, but every single one of these teams that they're playing, I don't think Liverpool have played a good team so far. They're struggling at the minute.
The thing is, I think we've spent the last probably 6 or 7 seasons being the only team that's challenged Man City. We're the only thing that's kept the Premiership interesting, and I think it's now beginning to show. I mean, I genuinely don't think we'll win the title this season already. I think that's gone. I think we're looking at probably top 4. It's been a really poor start to the season, I'm not going to lie. Darwin Núñez hasn't really done anything yet. Mo Salah looks a shadow of last season. I've seen a lot of folks saying we're missing Sadio Mane. Can Sadio Mane play centre? Can Sadio Mane play centre back? Because we're really lacking defensively. So I think it's a fair question to ask: is Klopp under pressure, or will he get sacked? I don't think he will, but things have got to change quickly, because if you look at Man City, see when Erling Haaland signed for Man City, I was worried. I think Haaland's an absolute outstanding signing for City, and I think he's just made them a lot stronger.
Yeah, he definitely has. I'm just interested to see the fact that Klopp keeps taking Robertson off for Tsimikas. What are your thoughts on him? Because do you think that Tsimikas is a better player than Robertson?
Oh God, no. No chance. I like Tsimikas, but he's nowhere near Andy Robertson's level. Maybe it's a good thing for Scotland that Robertson gets rested for these games coming up in the next few weeks for Scotland, but Robertson should be on that starting 11 every week. He's one of our best players by a mile. And the one thing you get with Robertson, he never stops. He just never stops running. And that's what we're lacking about the energy.
Am I talking to Ange Postecoglou here? We never stop.
Regan, I just want to get your take back on the tennis, right? Because I was reading that the US Open, that British Alfie Stewart progressed to the men's second round. But I want to get your take on Scotland's Gordon Reid. He retired in the game through injury.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know this, Michael, but that's just sad for Gordon. Do we know what happened to him?
It does not say what really happened to him, but that's the first game I've heard of him retiring during a game.
It must be something serious for him to retire. So, well, let's just hope that he's back in full health soon, and he's doing what he can do best, and that's making a racket on the court.
Now I know that Graham would be interested in this bit of news, right, for son, right, because I don't know if you know Regan, but Graham's son's a big cricket player now, right? And Scotland was meant to play Ireland on the T20 series, and they were getting beat. Sorry, they were winning 2-0 after the third match. And typical Scottish style, they were winning the game and it get rained off. So I don't know what's going to happen then, if they're going to play the game again. But there you go, Grim.
So Graham, you need to explain me the actual format of cricket because I've got no clue on cricket.
Yeah, on you go,
What do
Grim.
you think I do? I'm still trying to learn it myself.
I'd rather put pins in my eyes, Graham, but you can
I
let me
mean,
know.
to be fair, my son-in-law started just weeks ago, and he has got into it. So I've been trying to work out what is a 6, what's a 4, what's a. I was going to say a leg over, but that just doesn't sound right on the stream.
Is
But
it
I
no,
think
is it no what 50 innings and 50 over and
Michael's away. Look, he's gone. No, I think. I mean, I honestly, can't. I had to ask somebody at the cricket a few weeks ago, like, how do you score in this
Did
game?
you
Because
get
I had
your-
no idea. Michael's gone. He's away.
I can't wait till we come over here tonight because I've got a few jokes that I want to run past Graham about when they ask somebody ...
Actually,
yeah,
I just wanted to ask Regis something about the tennis. We'll talk about the Davis Cup. I mean, Andy Murray, is he in any kind of form just now? Because obviously got beat. I think it was last week.
he did mean you were on the show. He played Bernadetti from Italy. He's played well actually. He played well in the US Open. He played well against. You're taking me back. He played well against a fellow American in the second round. So he's playing better now than he has been the past couple of years. I think he's on the right track. Oh, I don't know who that is in the background, but yep, he's playing well, and I think if you're Andy Murray, you'll just be hoping that you can stave up a little bit longer and hope you don't need to retire soon because I think it'd be a shame, Graham. I remember going up to the post office when Andy Murray won that gold medal. I mean, it was all gold, and oh, what a day!
Did you get cash back for the Cash My Gold?
Oh, I think
I'm on fire tonight. I'm on fire.
put him
I'm-
out.
I think I should just leave this show for a comedy show for you two. This is
How can we
Carry
work
on.
up- how can we put how can we get the show back on the right note? But I think it's a bit like Scotland getting the European performances this week. It's we've
a bit
put
up and down.
performance.
A
Well, it
bit up
wasn't
and
first.
down.
It wasn't first class. That's for sure.
It wasn't in the class. Where do we go from there? I'm not sure. I've given up now. I want to go home. Oh no, so that I'm okay. So, Reagan, would you be? And I mean, I know what Graham was saying about Andy Murray. Going from winning the Olympics to winning Wimbledon, what was it, twice? And then being ranked maybe 145 or maybe more in the world. I mean, that must affect your confidence in a way as well.
Yeah, it has, but he's gone up to 51 now. Would I be right in saying, Graham?
Yeah,
Whatever,
about that. Yeah. Mhm.
whatever it is, and he's slowly building. So I think he'll be fancying it in Glasgow because I'm not going to put pressure on him. But this is probably one of the last times we're going to see him in Scotland. So, yeah, I think if you get a chance, Mike, or you get a chance, Graham, you should definitely go along to it.
How long is it on for, Reagan? Is it 3 days again?
Yes, well, GB play on the Wednesday, Saturday, and the Sunday, but I don't know if the Saturday will be on because of obvious reasons. But that'll just have to wait and see.
Who's you're the man to answer the questions about the tennis, but Dan Evans, I know he's not Scottish as well, but he seems to be doing well at the moment.
He is doing well, and so is Cam Norrie, who's got a Scottish father. I know he got a phone call for Rangers saying if they ever need hospitality, then pop along to the stadium. So fair play to him for that. Yeah, we've got some good tennis players coming through. We've also got some good Scottish players as well, like Jamie as well. And well, I don't think Jamie Murray gets the credit it is it is deserves as well. I'm going to say that this group will go through to the next stage because I think with Andy Murray and with Cam Norrie, two Scottish guys, I think they're going to do very well.
I think it must be really difficult for like Jamie Murray to have a brother like Andy, who pretty much all the focus is on all the time. So it must be difficult to be the younger brother of a star, really.
I think both of them are stars, but like you say, Graham, when you play doubles, you don't get as much attention. You know, it's like when uh, when Michael's off the show. I think Graham was getting a bit annoyed, Michael, because I was calling Graham Michael. So he was like, "What's going on here?"
Sorry,
Oh.
Dave, I'll forgive you.
Okay, Samantha. It's good, but I mean, it's good to see a big sporting event like that back in Glasgow, Regan.
Yeah, and I mean that's why we had the Commonwealth Games here in Scotland because we wanted to leave a legacy and leave a product from where Scottish athletes can say, right, we've got the Emirates Arena, we've got Tollcross, we've got try to think of anyone else. We've got the SSE Hydro, we've got the Armadillo, we've got all these places that we can use as sporting venues. Plus we've also got some great Scottish football grounds as well, such as Celtic Park, Ibrox, Hampden, and obviously Auchinleck to bring in Kevin there.
Yeah, you've got to keep the boss happy there. About Auchinleck. But it's just brilliant to see a big sporting event coming back to Scotland as well. But yeah, Graham, looking ahead to next weekend. Next week, if we've got European football on, obviously we'll be on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What's your thoughts about the game? The games were an S at the end.
I think it's difficult. I mean, can we be as bad this week as next week as we were last week or this week? I hope not. I think Rangers got a very tough game against Napoli. You know, having watched Napoli against Liverpool, they were fantastic. Liverpool were poor, but Napoli were excellent. So it's going to be a tough game for them. I think Celtic going away to Ukraine. Again, that's going to be a really hard game. But I think Celtic, if they play the way they did against Real Madrid for long spells in that game, they've got a chance. And Hearts, I mean, this is the game that I highlighted at the start of the group. I thought we needed to beat RFS over those two games. But having obviously seen the RFS result against Fiorentina last night, it's probably going to be a difficult game now. So I hope Hearts can win that. But we need to be better we need to be better next week, but it's going to be difficult. I think I'm going to say now, I think Celtic will beat Shakhtar. I think Rangers will get beat by Napoli, and I'm hoping that Hearts will beat RFS.
Regan, from a Celtic point of view, are you confident?
Not one bit.
No?
No, just because Shakhtar beat RB Leipzig for 4 goals to 1 away from home. I mean, that's not to be sniffed at, Michael. I mean, RB Leipzig are a top-class team. They got to the Europa League semi-final against Rangers, and they were, don't forget, there was one time in that extra time where they were leading that game. They also beat Atalanta last year, who were top 4 in the Italian league. I mean, it's okay for us saying I'll be confident in Celtic, but sometimes we need to be honest and say, right, well, Shakhtar just went away from home. That's not even a home game, it's away from home. They beat RB Leipzig by 4 goals to 1. So I think for Celtic, like I said at the top of the show, I think it's a case of Celtic must not lose.
Okay, thanks for your comments, guys, tonight, and we'll do it all again Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for European football. There's no football this weekend, so we're not on Sunday. So thanks for all your comments tonight. Keep them coming in on Twitter at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter, and we will see you on Tuesday night here on Indie Live Radio and Independence Live.